Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we have a truly incredible, high-stakes story to uncover today, so let's just dive right in. I want you to picture the scene. It's 1943, and Europe is burning in the unforgiving flames of World War II. Every major city is living under this suffocating shadow of fear, and every single road is being watched, monitored, and entirely controlled by enemy forces. But it was the railways. These trains crisscrossing the freezing snow-covered countryside that carried the quiet, desperate stories that would eventually alter the course of history. Today, we're looking at one specific freezing winter morning and one undocumented hero whose mission was an absolute matter of life and death.
Just consider this thought for a second. Courage does not always wear a uniform. Sometimes it travels quietly on a train. We so often think of war heroes as the soldiers out on the front lines, the generals in the war rooms, or the fighter pilots up in the sky, right? But the reality drawn from our source material today is that some of the most world-altering courage came from ordinary, undocumented people who operated entirely in the shadows. They fought without armor, without any public recognition, and literally without a safety net.
Section 1. The Courier's Hidden Secret, the mission that could change the war.
So, let's meet our protagonist. Her name is Elena. On this freezing morning, she steps onto a crowded eastbound train, blending seamlessly into this sea of anxious passengers, and her existence immediately becomes a terrifying duality. To everyone around her, she's just an ordinary traveler, just a tired woman holding a small suitcase, wrapped up in a worn, unassuming coat. But the reality is far deadlier. Elena is actually a resistance fighter on a mission. Hidden meticulously inside the lining of that worn coat is a packet of highly classified military documents stolen directly from a German headquarters. Both Allied agents and Nazi officers would have risked absolutely everything to get their hands on what she was wearing.
We really need to anchor ourselves in this specific year, 1943. The stakes could not possibly be higher. The papers sewn into Elena's coat revealed the precise details of an upcoming German military operation. If the Allies remained in the dark about this, it would lead to the deaths of thousands of soldiers. Elena's mission was chillingly simple, really, deliver the documents to a contact in another city. But if she failed, if she was caught, not only would she face certain death, but that crucial, life-saving intelligence would be lost forever.
Section 2. Navigating the checkpoints, the tightening net.
Okay, so the train is rolling on through this remote, snow-covered landscape, and the terrifying reality of traveling through enemy territory really sets in. Armed soldiers begin sweeping systematically through each carriage. Imagine Elena's heart just pounding against her ribs as the tension escalates throughout the day. In the morning, it starts with a passport check. An officer examines her papers, staring into her eyes for what feels like an absolute eternity, before finally waving her through. But the relief is agonizingly short-lived. By the afternoon, the protocol shifts to a full luggage search, and by nightfall, the exits are entirely blocked.
Let's zoom in on that afternoon luggage search for a minute, because the source material paints a truly harrowing picture here. Passengers are sitting in dead silence as bags are just ripped open. When the soldiers reach Elena, a young soldier grabs her suitcase and aggressively empties it right there on the floor. Her clothes, her photographs, her most personal items are just scattered everywhere, and she has to sit there, holding her breath, perfectly still, knowing that just inches away, sewn into the fabric resting against her own body, are the documents that would have her arrested and executed on the spot. But miraculously, the coat lining remains unchecked. Nothing suspicious is found in her bag, and the train rolls on. But then night falls, and the claustrophobia reaches an absolute boiling point. Rumors begin to spread like wildfire through the carriages that resistance members are somewhere on the train. Then, the nightmare scenario happens. Two officers enter Elena's carriage and announce that no one, absolutely no one, is allowed to leave until a final, thorough search is completed. Panic just ripples through the passengers. Elena instantly realizes the terrifying truth. The net is closing around her, and her cover is about to be blown.
Section 3. The Air Raid Escape, the moment of recognition.
Looking out the window at this dense, forested region, a desperate plan forms in Elena's mind. During a brief stop at a remote, isolated station, she makes her move. She slips out of her carriage to hide among a group of elderly women in a completely different car. But her evasion tragically falls apart. She thinks she's safe, when the very same officer from the morning passport check enters to patrol this new area. He walks slowly down the aisle, meticulously studying every single face, looking for anything out of place. And then, their eyes meet. The recognition is instant. He clearly remembers her from hours earlier. The officer stops dead in his tracks. He points directly at Elena and he orders her to stand. As he steps closer, the physical weight of those hidden documents is just pressing heavily against Elena's chest. The secret is literally sitting right between them.
And this is the absolute peak of tension. The officer demands to inspect her. He extends his arm and reaches directly for the worn coat she's wearing. Everything, the intelligence, the thousands of lives, Elena's own survival, it's all about to be violently unraveled in a fraction of a second.
But right at that exact microsecond, the air raid siren echoes. A sudden, deafening wail pierces through the remote station, interrupting the officer just as his fingers were inches from her collar.
Moments later, the ground actually begins to shake from distant explosions. Total chaos erupts on the platform and inside the train. Soldiers drop what they're doing and rush outside. Passengers begin screaming in blind panic. And Elena brilliantly uses this terrifying, chaotic distraction to simply vanish. She slips away into the panicking crowd, evading the officer entirely, and manages to reboard the train through a completely different carriage, completely unseen. The final chapter, Legacy of Carriage 1943, The Quiet Drop-Off.
Fast forward to dawn. The sun begins to rise, and the train finally pulls into its destination. An exhausted, deeply terrified, but ultimately successful Elena steps onto the platform and walks out into a busy, bustling city station. And this is where the mission concludes with what's known as the drop. It's a silent, clandestine transfer of intelligence. Elena walks up to a clock tower where a man is just casually reading a newspaper. She doesn't say a single word. She just sits beside him, places her suitcase at his feet, and waits. The man gives a slight nod, and just like that, the transfer is complete. The stolen German documents are finally safe in the hands of the resistance.
And we really have to talk about why this matters. Weeks later, Allied commanders open those very documents and use the exact intelligence Elena smuggled in her coat lining to prepare for the enemy's attack. Because of her agonizing, terrifying journey through those checkpoints, a devastating strike was prevented, and the lives of thousands of soldiers were saved. Just think about the sheer magnitude of that number. Thousands of futures preserved by one terrifying train ride. But here is the most striking takeaway from our source text today. Despite saving thousands of lives and shifting the tactical reality of 1943, her name never appeared in history books. It never made the front page of the newspapers. Elena simply returned to her ordinary life, carrying the immense, invisible weight of the secret she kept and the history she changed on that freezing train.
It leaves us with a truly profound thought to end on today. How many world-changing heroes will forever remain invisible? I mean, it really makes you look at history entirely differently, knowing that the biggest shifts often didn't come from the people standing on the podiums, but from quiet, ordinary individuals sitting on crowded trains, holding on to secrets that saved the world. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the history you think you know.